Hello, how's it going? Web Dev Newbie here, just for a little hangout tonight. The topic of tonight's video, wherever you're at, is there's a debate in the truth community. Let's call it the biblical cosmology or flat earth truth community. As to whether a lot of the mountains and rocks and things like that we see are actually made from Nephilim giants, or whether they're made from ancient trees that were very large. Or I guess if you were a ball earther, you would just believe in whatever ball earthers believe in, that they don't even think about where the mountains actually came from, probably. But so I got some stuff lined up here, and I've also been searching through Bible verses and stuff on this topic to see what it says. And there was a couple that I couldn't find that I know they're in there. So if somebody jumps into this live stream, they might be able to help me out with a couple verses here. But the first one that we are going to look at here are some videos, and I'm just going to sit here and hang out. I'm a little bit tired right now, so I just kind of sit back and relax here a little bit while we watch this. I got this guy up, Hangman1128. And he, so I've been accused of needing dopamine hits because I believe in what this guy says and in what some of the things that Wise Up says. And, I don't necessarily agree with everything, but I don't know. I mean, you guys can watch and you can decide for yourself what you believe. So I'm going to start with this one. He came out with this 5-part series recently. So I'm just going to start with that. I probably won't get through the whole thing because that would be over an hour. And I've got some other tabs and whatnot that I want to show you guys. So we'll start with this one though, and we'll probably get the point after the first couple videos here. And don't worry, the audio is on for the video. It's just, I think in this part of the video, he just doesn't have any music or anything like that, so any sound.
Okay, so you'll see this is just one example of how a tree breaks down.
By the way, this guy is saved and believes in Jesus Christ in the Bible, and he's even on board with Golden Age past and Millennial Reign past. So I'm just saying.
And most people, when they think of rings, they think of looking down at a stump like this. But whether you're looking at it 2D, 3D, there's so many different ways these trees break down and fall apart and break apart. And remember the massive size difference. Okay, so this was a cedar. You can just tell by the characteristics. And then you see here how some of the rings are recognizable, okay? And then they get busted up and you don't know what they look like, okay? You'll see this all throughout my videos, but you just got to remember how the tree breaks down. There's so many different ways. Like in the side of the mountain, you've seen a bunch of stuff like that, weathered and eroded. That's all you're seeing, but hundreds or thousands of feet up the whole mountain. And then you got knots and different twists and turns. You just got to keep all that in mind. Things like that things like that. But that there could have been thousands of feet in diameter and not like that, to where it's not consistent straight rains like this. Okay? You see some of the radius, like the waviness. You see like a knot right here or where a branch come out. There's so many different examples of how these trees break down. Okay, my camera shut off, but I'm going to show you this, okay? When you see stuff like this, I'm going to show you here in a minute, okay? All this is just weathered, worn, smooth, okay? All this. I just want you to look at this before we go walking down the road here. All of this, every single bit of it, is just remains of rains and parts of the tree. And then it turns to like sandstone, okay? And then it turns to sand, dirt. All this right here.
I would like to add that I have personally been to rivers within a couple hours of where I live that are very large, the largest in North America, in fact. And I have actually seen the roots of extremely large old trees. Now, they aren't as large as like mountains and things, but they're much larger than normal trees today that you would see. And you could tell, and they are stone. They've been turned into stone, and they break off in like blocks, very, very much like a cube almost. You can break them off in cubes. You know what? I could get out there and make a video for you guys to prove it to you. And they look exactly, it looks exact. I know the exact spot where I could go, and it looks exactly like nothing but the remains of a very large tree, the roots of the tree going down into the river along the riverbank.
Okay, all that is just a breakdown of that, like sandstone. Okay, sandstone is just a different breakdown of the tree that's so weathered. Okay,
how's it going, viewer? Welcome in.
I want you to look at that. Okay, so we're gonna walk down this way. Okay, here we go.
We're starting off with the wood side of things, people that think the wood was turned into stone, which I am included in that. And then after that, we're going to be looking at the other side of things of people, hey, what's going on? We're going to be looking at the people that think that the mountains are made out of like very large Nephilim or some, you know, what they call titans. So we'll see both sides here, and you guys can just decide for yourself what you think.
Here we go. This camera is very sensitive on the microphone. So anyway, so you see stuff like this, okay? And all these little pieces down here. I'm going to show you what this is. And all that, you see all the sap that was in this tree, okay?
Do you have any opinion, Angel Eli of the family Diaz, on this topic?
We're going to walk over to this piece.
You might not, you may or may not be familiar with it.
One of these days, I will take you right about right here. There's another mine there that very few people know about. It's incredible. And we're going to go to another one here in a few. But you see here, okay, this is all just petrified wood. And you see the stuff attached to it is the same thing. These trees were so large, and the different grains and textures that are in them, okay? Everything up here and they always break off flat. Okay. Okay, I wanted to show you one more thing. So you see a lot of this has fallen away. Okay, and then you have pieces that are falling down, and you see what it does. Okay, and this is looking over the top. Same exact thing, but on a massive, giant scale. This piece right here could be 100 foot long. Okay? And when you see these really large pieces, and I'll put a picture in right here of a piece like this that's as big as an apartment building.
Yeah,
you'll see how
that's
large
exactly
the
what he's
branch
saying,
was for a
Angel
piece
Eli.
that big to come off of it. So I take this piece off of here, and you see how tiny this
Yeah,
is.
he's comparing the two
what it came
and
from.
showing you how the similarities.
So if this was
between
as
what they
large
look
as an
like.
apartment building, you understand how large the tree or branch must have been that this came from, if this is as big as an apartment building.
And he's showing you how they break down as well, and how it yeah.
They were enormous, and you see it. I've been showing you it, okay? This should be life-changing for everybody. And it should show them the lies from this world system. Satan is the God of this world. And they do everything they can to discredit God and his creation, because it's a spiritual battle. It's about souls, okay? So we're going to head on over there and see what we can find. Now watch over here. So we're going to walk all the way down to the bottom. And then I got to walk back up, but I won't make you do that with me. So I want you to look at this, okay? Look it in here.
Okay, you
All
said
of
down
this.
to the fountains of the great deep. I'm not
You'll
sure
understand what I
where
mean
that
here in a few.
where in the
See
Bible it
all
says
this here?
that.
Okay?
We could always
Okay,
try
we're
looking it up
going.
on this live stream.
You see here? That's just so smooth and weathered. So we're going to walk all the way down. I'm going to walk all the way to the very bottom, and then I'll have to walk back up. But there's so much down there I want to show you. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pause it here. I'm going to go up and get my truck and park right here, so the dogs aren't so far away from me. But I want you to look at this right here. All this in here, everything. Okay, what I'm going to show you here in a minute, you'll understand. See all that? So I'm going to go up here in the truck, go down there a little further. But I want you to look at this, okay? Because down there, I'll show you what it is. Nobody would ever think that this was part of a giant tree, okay? All of this, every single bit of it, the whole mountain, all them mountains back there. You see the way this breaks down. Okay, let me pause it till we get down there. Actually, I'll show you this again. You'll see that all this is just remains of trees that were so large. I can't even begin to think how large these were. The more I get into this, because they were so massive. Okay, so let me go down there. Hold on. Okay, So I will show you that these pieces here, even though they look just like big boulders, that these are remains of trees, okay?
Yeah, you can tell by the way it
Some of my
breaks
girls in
apart.
there.
It has that.
Hey, you hold on, girls.
It has that look to it. You know, a lot of the rock. A
You
lot
let
of the
them
rock
out,
does.
but-
Now, I do think some of the rock. I do think a lot of the rocks
See, when you see
were
all this
also
stuff,
body
all these
parts.
pieces, everything. Okay?
Not. It's not all wood.
When we get down here, you're going to see.
There could have been Nephilim giants.
You're going
that
to see the
turned
most
into
convincing
mountains.
evidence you'll ever see. Okay.
I just think it's both. I think it's
Just gotta
probably
get down there.
something
All
like
these pieces here.
90%
All them little
trees
pieces there.
and
Are
that
just
got
bits and pieces.
petrified,
When I get back
and
up,
then
we'll
like
walk down there.
10% Nephilim giants or
I
something
want to
like
walk
that.
down here because this will show you. Okay.
And all size Nephilims. I
And
mean,
later on here in
the
this
rock
video,
body
you're gonna
parts
see
go
how-
from very
I'm
small
going
to
to show you
large.
how the rings break down and how some of it's recognizable and some of it's not. Okay. This is the perfect example down here. But when you see all this kind of stuff, okay, it's just bits and pieces of something much larger. All these pieces that broke off. And I'm going to show you down here. There's just no place to park. And some of these people up here, even though they're mountain folks or the tourists, they're so uppity.
Here, maybe I'll go ahead in this video a little bit. He's kind of taking a little long
So you
here.
see here, okay, I'm going to show you
Oh, let's
how
see.
all this, okay, I want you to look at this close. All of this, okay, all of this, these are just bits and pieces. So these are rings, okay? You'll understand here in a few. So all these right here, these are rings going up and they're busted up. So much is falling away. That's where you get all these pieces, okay? I want you to look at this. All these are is busted
Yeah,
up rings. and
I've
you'll see
got
it
a
everywhere in the
stone that
mountains. I
looks
don't care where
exactly
you're
like
at.
a heart. I mean, there's just
Okay.
no doubt it's a heart.
You should look close at this.
But it's the size of a human heart. So not a Nephilim giant.
Look close how the rings bust up. They're not recognizable for most people, but you will understand here in a minute. Okay? All of this, everything as far up as you go. All them mountains back there, all that back there behind them trees. I'm just showing you what the rings do, how they get busted up. Okay? And when I get down here to the bottom, you'll understand. Yeah, right up in here. Right up in here somewhere. There's an incredible place up there. We made a rope ladder and we went down in there. And it is absolutely incredible. And how there's an opening.
I'd also like to add that I have personally been to a stream, and I know exactly where it's at, so I could go back there and make a video as well if you need me to prove it, where there's a lot of clay in the river, in the stream, and as the clay flows down, it balls up and it forms like these little clay balls, and they just look just like a rock. They look just like a smoothed out rock. And then eventually they harden over time, but you can pick them up. They look just like a rock. They almost feel as heavy as a rock, but you can snap them right in half. And they're just clay. That's all they're made out of. But over time, as they sit in there, they get harder and harder and harder. And I can go to the stream and find several hardnesses of that type of clay rock, or what I call a mud rock. So they are being reformed in the streams and rivers. Things are being, I'm sorry, but I have firsthand experience on this, and I just know that not every single rock out there
Into a mine up there.
is directly from a Nephilim body part.
All these pieces you see here, okay? And we're going to walk back over there, but we'll do that on the way back up. Okay? You're going to see something really cool down here, and you're going to understand.
I just think the process of petrification, we've been lied to about it, is what I think. I think the process of petrification can happen so much faster and easier than they say. And, you know, in order to petrify these trees, there was obviously heat required and potentially pressure. So it was probably, well, obviously it was probably the Great Flood that did it. You know, possibly also then after that, sitting there and going through Armageddon, you know, thousands of years later after Jesus came back. And then, you know, Armageddon put additional heat, fervent heat on everything and just cooked it, you know, more into a brick.
A lot, just with the picture,
Hey there,
so to speak.
God's Flat Earth Gal, Washington. Welcome to the stream. Right now we're watching Hangman 1128. He believes that the mountains and the majority of the rocks we see were once giant trees.
All this is just pieces and parts, okay? That may not look recognizable. All of this right here, okay? All these pieces in small pieces arranged. Okay, all this right here. Okay, it's just a different grain that's in the wood. Different knots. Okay? You'll see this stuff on an entire mountainside like that over there.
And I, just so you guys know, I told this to Angel earlier,
okay?
But I agree with this perspective.
They're weathered.
With this guy right
Everything
here.
under this sand. All these pieces right here in this ravine. You'll understand here in a minute. Okay, all that back there. See how the tree is. There's different colors, textures, grains. Okay, and this is the sap that was in the tree. Okay, this is what the gold miners look for, whether it's tellurides or it's gold, silver. So let me show you here, okay? So here's a set of rings that is recognizable, okay? See that? Get a better overview.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like wood to me.
All this is the same. This could be a massive branch that's hundreds of feet in diameter. But this is not damaged, okay? This is recognizable, okay? And then you come over here on this side, and you see that they're all busted up, and they're not in perfect line like this. And rings aren't always in perfect line like this. But you see when they get busted up, what they look like, okay? And I'll show you from a side view. All that is right here that's all busted up. And all these pieces you see here are all ones used to look like that with the rings of the tree.
Yeah.
Okay, is it making sense now? And they always split like that, okay? Vertically and horizontally. But I don't mean to repeat myself, but you see this here is recognizable and this here is not, okay? The rings are busted. And you'll see this in different many examples. Things that aren't recognizable. But when you see things like this, you know what it is when you see all this.
Too. I like trees, so a giant one would be cool to see.
And broken
a
up
super
rock.
giant one.
Okay.
No, I have heard about this app actually, but I haven't downloaded it or anything. I guess is it any good? Is it worth installing? Yeah.
There'll always be something
you
that's
don't believe everything
recognizable.
Hangman shares? Is that what you're saying?
But these things were so massive. so much is broken and fallen away.
Yeah, they call it Devil's Tower. Yeah, I know they came in and renamed everything with a devil here and there. Like there's all sorts of places across the U.S. They call devils this, devils that, and they didn't used to have those names, and they didn't used to have evil names. Devil's Tower used to be called something like Bear Mountain or something like that by the natives. Well, don't know how many more in his particular series we'll watch. Because I do have a lot, and I almost feel like his other ones are a little bit better. I didn't watch them all, but they are all pretty good. His new 5-part series he made on that topic. Yeah. So I think what I'll do now is I'll start looking at some of the Bible searches I started doing on this to see what I could find. So I wanted to see where it mentions cedars. And the cedars of Lebanon is like mentioned a lot. So now they get mentioned a lot, and this would have been after the flood, but before Armageddon. And it speaks of the cedars of Lebanon getting burned. It speaks of them getting cut down. Yeah, and we know that the old, like David's house, and also I guess the temple, they used the cedars of Lebanon in the construction of the Temple of Jerusalem. They used a ton of cedar, and he had like, I don't know, 80,000 axemen or something, and like 50,000. I don't even remember the number. It's just there's a lot of people working on that project. The voice of the Lord breaks the cedars. The Lord breaks the cedars of Lebanon. The mountains were covered with its shade, the mighty cedars with its branches. The trees of the Lord are watered abundantly, the cedars of Lebanon that he planted. Let's see, Isaiah 9:10. The bricks have fallen, but we will build with dressed stones. The sycamores have been cut down, but we will put cedars in their place. Yeah, it does speak of the sycamores as well. Sometimes, not as much as the cedars, though. And it even speaks of the oak as well. Cypresses as well. Isaiah 44:14, he cuts down cedars, or he chooses a cypress tree or an oak and let it grow strong among the trees of the forest. He plants a cedar and the rain nourishes it. Jeremiah 22:7, I will prepare destroyers against you, each with his weapons, and they shall cut down your choicest cedars and cast them into the fire. O inhabitant of Lebanon, nested among the cedars, how will you be pitied when pangs come upon you? Pain as a tongue twister, as a woman in labor. That would have been Armageddon right there. What it's talking about. Yeah, the old world, just to think about what it was like. I know. What it must have been just amazing. Can't even imagine seeing trees that big. So like imagine seeing a tree that's like 2 miles high or 3 miles high. Open your doors, O Lebanon, that the fire may devour your cedars. Okay, well, let's move on to the next one. The next search I did was, Armageddon would have just been awful. I mean, it was the worst, absolute, most insanely destructive time on Earth. Yeah, for sure. And it was just hit after hit. I mean, it was like plagues, pestilence, wormwood. Before wormwood, a fiery mountain drops down and just wrecks shit, and then wormwood drops after that, and then all the others. I mean, it's just like, and then the little bugs that kept attacking him for months, but they had like faces like women or something, and they're wearing crowns, and they have like a scorpion's tail. Like imagine that. We could go back and read that. So I searched cry out just to see what comes up when, like, basically based on the stones were crying out. But I was trying, maybe you can help me with this. I'm looking, my two viewers, I'm looking for the verse that was talking about something about the trees will cry out with the stone or something. And I can't remember where it is, and I couldn't find it when I was searching for it. So if you know what book that might be in, that particular thing, it's something about how the trees cry out to the stone, or it's something like that. And I was real interested in reading that verse again, but I couldn't find it. And so cry out is used a lot. Obviously, we know that the stones will cry out. Let's see. Yeah, out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. Let's see. Wail, O gate, cry out, a city, melt in fear, O Philistia. All of you, for smoke comes out of the north, and there is no straggler in his ranks. Dang, that sounds ominous. Yeah, Isaiah is super intense. The whole book is. Let's see. How long he speaks about this verse? I'm trying to think. Yeah, I know he does speak of it, and I've seen it before myself, and I just couldn't, for whatever reason, when I searched words that I thought were in it, I couldn't find it. So I can't remember how the verse goes. Let's see here. Like a woman in labor. Yeah, cry out's used quite a bit in the Bible. Yeah, go up to Lebanon, cry out, lift up your voice. Sean, okay. Let's see. Huh. Yeah, so Luke 19:40, he answered, I tell you, if these were silent, the very stones would cry out. And that's the verse that Alan talks about a lot when he's talking about that he thinks all rocks are Nephilim body parts. I think this is one of the verses that he bases it on. But I just don't see it the same way. Because there's another explanation for that verse. During Armageddon, during the fervent heat, the rocks were like literally melting. And there, I mean, to make a rock melt like plasma like that, it probably does cry out. It probably makes a sound like it's crying out when that's happening. It's just my guess, or it's just another way to interpret that particular phrase or verse. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to do full chapter. Let's look at the full chapter because that's, let's see, 1940. Yeah, so as he was drawing near, already on the way down the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of his disciples began to rejoice and praise God with a loud voice for all the mighty works that they had seen, saying, Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord, peace in heaven and glory in the highest. And some of the Pharisees in the crowd said to him, Teacher, rebuke your disciples. He answered, I tell you, if these were silent, the very stones would cry out. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Next search I did is reserved, because I mean, one of the things Alan talks about is how the stones are reserved in judgment. I searched reserved in judgment. That didn't come up with anything. So then I just searched reserved. And I didn't find anything about stones or being reserved in judgment like that. So I'm not sure where he gets that. I'll have to ask him on that one. Or maybe he can leave a comment on this video if he sees it. There's a different one I just seen about the trees with it. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I still wish I could find that verse that we're thinking of. Yeah, which I've reserved for the time of trouble. Let's see, Jude 1:13, wild waves of the sea, casting up the foam of their own shame, wandering stars, for whom the gloom of utter darkness has been reserved forever. All right, now I'm interested in that 1:13. All right, let's look at this. Okay, so people out of the land of Egypt after just as Sodom and Gomorrah, which likewise indulged in sexual and pursued unnatural desires, serving as an example by undergoing a punishment of eternal fire. Yet, in like manner, these people also relying on their dreams defile the flesh, reject authority, and blaspheme the glorious ones. But when the archangel Michael, contending with the devil, was disputing about the body of Moses, he did not presume to pronounce a blasphemous judgment, but said, The Lord rebuke you. But these people blaspheme all that they do not understand, and they are destroyed by all that they, like unreasoning animals, understand instinctively. Woe to them, for they walked in the way of Cain and abandoned themselves for the sake of gain to Balaam's error, and perished in Korah's rebellion. Wow, that's a bunch of stuff right there. These are hidden reefs at your love feasts, as they feast with you without fear, shepherds feeding themselves, waterless clouds, swept along by winds, fruitless trees in the late autumn, twice dead, uprooted, wild waves of the sea, casting up the foam of their own shame, wandering stars, for whom the gloom of utter darkness has been reserved forever. Oh my goodness, that's the judgment on false teachers. Oh wow, and it keeps going. It was also about these that Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesied, saying, Behold, the Lord comes with 10,000 of his holy ones to execute judgment on all and to convict all the ungodly of their deeds of ungodliness that they have committed in such of an ungodly way, and of all the harsh things that ungodly sinners have spoken against him. These are grumblers, malcontents, following their own sinful desires. They are loud-mouthed boasters, showing favoritism to gain advantage. Wow, this is really good. I need to come back to this. Jude 1, man. Jude 1 lays the smackdown for sure. All right, I searched glittering sword to see how many times it comes up. Only twice in the ESV. I'll check KJV as well. That their hearts may melt and many stumble, all at their gates. I have given the glittering sword. Ah, it is made like lightning. It is taken up for slaughter. Yeah, the glittering sword is no joke. It is made like lightning. It is taken up for slaughter. Yeah, I mean, I believe that the glittering sword was used for sure during Armageddon. It was part of the whole fervent heat, melted buildings thing. Almost like Conspiracy RS made a video about how it's like that we see evidence of a giant arc welder being used on the earth. Probably the glittering sword doing that. Horsemen, Nahum 3:3. Horsemen charging, flashing sword and glittering spear, hosts of slain, heaps of corpses, dead bodies without end. They stumble over the bodies. And again, this is referring to what happened during Armageddon. So there is that. Let's see, I was just searching images. Oh, you said you're a man. Okay, Angel Eli's a man. Cool. We got that covered now. Sweet. So what we got on the screen here is just some Google type searches, start page searches of what would it look like if a bunch of trees of Lebanon burned. But imagine these trees being 2 miles high each or something like that, rather than normal sized. And then, you know, with these then after being, well, and if the burning was bad enough, they would all fall over. They wouldn't be standing at all. You know, if it was like God's judgment and whatnot, it might be worse than your normal forest fire. Something like this, kind of like how everything's laying down like that. So maybe something like that. And then as this all starts to decay, and it's all been burned as well, so it's like been turned into a coal as well. Which brings me to the next thing, which I searched was coal mine, because this would fit well with where does coal come from? Well, coal would be the giant trees that were burned and then they fell over, and then you have these huge coal deposits because they were huge, gigantic, massive trees. So like inside this coal mine here, you look at the wall over here, it looks like coal from a looks like a piece of burnt wood coal, basically. And I mean, okay, here's the thing. I mean, with a coal mine, is that a Nephilim body part? You know, what part is it? What part of your body is coal? That's what I want to know. Makes a lot more sense that there was tree that turned into coal. Okay. Large burn pile. Yeah, that was the next one I searched. So this is fresh wood being burned, but what I'm trying to get you to picture here is all the trees have been burned and they've all fallen over into these piles like this. And these are all, let's say, burned logs. And then over time, what happens is just naturally everything fills in and then as the wood starts to decompose, it breaks apart into those smaller chunks. And then all of these cracks and crevices get filled in with dirt just naturally over time, just because every year there's like a layer of kind of dust and dirt that settles on everything. So that could be part of it. Let's see, what do we got next here? Okay, so we're down to the end of the people that think most of the mountains and everything in rock are from trees rather than from Nephilim. And so this is the last one we'll be watching on that. And then after this, we're going to be switching to the people that think that the mountains are from Nephilim. Okay, let's go. And this is Wise Up. And I think he calls it something like Final Jigsaw. Final Jigsaw and the Garden of God is what he calls this. Thank you, God's Flight with Gal Washington. I appreciate you liking this. Wasn't sure if anyone would like it or not. So. Yeah, bonfires. Yeah, I've heard of that with bonfires. I am familiar with that. Yeah, maybe. They definitely are trying to fake tribulation, pre-trib. Yeah, for sure. Hi there, Karen. That looks like the root of a tree right there, I would say. If you've ever looked at tree stumps a lot and stuff like that, that right there, wow. Talk about looking like wood. I've actually removed many tree stumps over the last, let's say, 10 years, just from my own house properties and stuff like that. So I'm very familiar with tree stumps and what they look like, and how they grow and how they root themselves into the ground and everything like that.
So it's only been 3 days, and luckily enough, I have got another video for you. Taking some time on this because it's my favourite topic right now. I've directed you all to Hangman 1128's channel. I think it's the most important thing that we can be looking into right now.
Yeah, we watched his video earlier.
As well, to raise that part of his conscience and get in touch with who we are again. So the video is just going to have music layered over it because I've made about 6 serious videos on this topic with 2 different labels. One is the final jigsaw, about 2 or 3. The other one is real geology, something like that. Anyway, I'll get back to you again later with another video. Thank you.
Now look at that. Petrified branches right there. Those are not wood. Those are, if you went up to those right now, they're not wood. Those are stone. They said it was a dinosaur egg. That's funny. Now that's interesting. He doesn't see, Wise Up, one of his things is he doesn't always explain what he shows. So my question is right here, as far as a tree, being part of a tree goes, what is this right here? Because he doesn't explain it. It would be nice if he said something there. Is it a seed pod or what? So I think he's saying all those little balls and stuff are yeah, seeds from trees, basically, like walnuts or whatever, like different types of stuff. This one looks like trees. That's called the bells or something. The something bells in Colorado. These mountains. That definitely looks a lot like wood to me. Submerged caused a transition. Yeah. I mean, it really, this theory adds up with the coal quite a bit. I mean, it explains the coal deposits a lot better than Nephilim body parts, in my opinion. Yeah, and that's a good question, Angel. Would the seed be in the fruit? Yeah, I mean it would. Would the question is was the whole fruit petrified, or was just the seed petrified? You know. All right, so now we'll switch over to, let's see, do you have a bonus here or what? Petrified twig remains. Okay, that was an interesting ending. All right, so let's go to the side where people say the giants who died in the flood turned into rocks, and these guys actually claim this is the full-on the mountains are not just giant, they're not giant trees, they're actually giants, all of them. And I haven't actually watched these videos, just so you guys know. I just searched these earlier, so we're just kind of watching them together. So we're just hanging out watching these together for the first time. I mean, this video is about 3 years old. Okay, there's that Luke 19. Small as a mustard seed, I can say you can move this mountain, move from here and there, and I will move, nothing will be impossible for you. She became a pillar of salt. Okay, so they're saying that's a penis. They're saying that's a vagina. Well, yeah, they wouldn't have been able to bury anyone after the flood. They would have just been laying everywhere dead on top of one another, I suppose. That one looks like a Nephilim. I mean, that just looks just like a giant laying there. That looks like a giant face for sure. I've never seen that one before. Wow, that was crazy. Yeah, and I've seen a lot of these images too, where they look like huge, ginormous faces. So that you know, that definitely is making some of the case for the all mountains are giants people. I see that one. Not so sure about the last two. That one looks pretty, wow, that one looks pretty good. That's interesting. Where is that? Wow, look at that one. Holy smokes. Never saw that one either. A lot of pictures I haven't seen in this video. That was a pretty good video. See, I don't have to be a maximalist though. I'm okay with believing that some are giant trees and some are Nephilim giants. and they were both petrified. It doesn't bother me to. I don't understand why I have to be a maximalist on this topic. I'm still trying to figure it out. Let's see here. So when I went to YouTube and I searched rocks and mountains or giants, one of them that comes up is Alan's video from 2 years ago. How Nephilim turned into the mountain ranges. Think glitter. So he's talking about the glittering sword. So this is going to be the last one I watch tonight before I end the stream. And we're going to see what Alan has to say on this topic. That right there is a picture of his rock that he dissolved with acid, and it looks incredibly like body part. I mean, like, it's insane how much it looks like a heart. So I guess we'll listen to this. Let's see what he says.
Flat Earth Nation. It is a flat Earth nation. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you.
Come on, Alan. You gotta sell. You gotta sell me on this one. Give me the.
Please get out your pen and pencils. Something to write down with today. Habakkuk 3, verse 10. The mountains saw thee and were afraid. The tempest of waters passed by. The deep uttered his voice and lifted up his hands on high. The sun and the moon stood still in their habitation, at the light of thine arrows as they went, at the shimmering of thy glittering spear. Thou didst march through the land in indignation, and thou didst threat the nations in anger. Verse 15, thou didst see with thine horses the heaps of the mighty waters. We're gonna hit this up here. We're gonna come back to that Bible verse. In the meantime, what you're gonna need to, if you're gonna start writing down, we're gonna be proving something here, a theory that's gonna open up the Bible, I hope, in a lot of ways for you. Let's start with Zechariah 7, verse 12. Yea, they make their hearts an adamant stone, lest they should hear the law, and the words which the Lord of hosts hath sent in his spirit by the former prophets. Therefore come a great wrath from the Lord of hosts, because they have made their hearts an adamant stone. Well, I know Christians are living stones, but what is an adamant stone? Better, how would we avoid becoming an adamant stone?
Okay, so the other verse he uses a lot is that we are living stones to be fit into the body of Christ. So that's another verse about stones and us being stones. And I think I forgot what I was going to say. Well, we'll just keep going here.
Look first at Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 9. The only other time that word is used, as an adamant harder than flint.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. And then there's also the verse where Jesus speaks of your heart of stone being turned into a heart of flesh. I think it's Jesus that speaks of that. That's another verse.
Have I made your forehead? Fear them not, and neither be dismayed at their look, though they be a rebellious house. The forehead was hard because God had their face strong against the impotent. He had, those hard, the hard-hearted Israels. He had hardened their face. So that's why their forehead was hard too. In case you were wondering, the word adamant is very, very inadequately translated, I believe. You're going to want to find that. Your Hebrew Concordance, Strong's 8068, Shamir. So you guys, some of you have heard me talk about that. A lot of the new listeners, Shamir, number 8068. Strong lists it as a thorn and as a gem. They say most likely a diamond. but it is translated of briar 8 times, adamant stone once, adamant once, and diamond once. But briar, like, hey, don't throw me in the briar patch, 8 times. It is also linked, it is there, to number 8104. So we'll take a look. That one is shamar, not shamir, shamar. Shamar means to hedge about, as with thorns, to protect it. Nothing can get in it. It's protected, Attend, keep. It's translated keep, that same word shamar, very close to shamir.
Well, so far, I'm not getting a whole lot of information on the mountains being giants and whatnot.
Translated keep 283 times, observe 46 times, and heed 35 times. I think we had better look up some of the briar verses. Okay, so I did that, and this is good. So we're having a good study here. So guess what? All the other verses of Shamir 8068, they're all used in the book of Isaiah. So we'll go over those later. I can see this is going to be one of those rides you need to have a seatbelt on or a pin in your hand, or you're going to be watching this again, because this theory will work. First, I need to look up a verse. Habakkuk 3:15. We already read that. Thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses, the heap of great waters. It seems we're going to be learning about this glittering spear and other things. But first, back to the briar patch. There are other words that mean that. Strong's Concordance 5606.
Do you have a name on there? I'm not sure what you mean by that.
5513, it means metal. Number 5444 in Ezekiel 28.
Where would he have a name on?
In Micah chapter 7, verse 4 is Strong's number 2312, and that means a thorny plant. There's also a number 5621. That's also used in Ezekiel chapter 2, verse 6, a thistle.
Well, he's getting to it, but it's just taking forever.
It seems like
word
translated.
I'm not,
briar. Only
it's hard to watch his videos like this, because it's like you're trying to learn something, but you're not learning anything, because it's just he's not. When does he get to the proof here?
He reveres, he regards, he hates those that don't keep that way. So look for, there better be something like a sharp, scratchy diamond thing in 1303, because it was there in 8068 Shamir and 8104 Shamar. So we're going to look up 1303. It's translated twice as briars, plural. Pecan.
So what is he talking about?
The first thing it mentions, it's from Strong's number 1300. A thorn, in parentheses, perhaps a burning brightly, close parentheses. Burning bright.
Okay, I'm going to go until I see something relevant, or I don't know.
And that's the giants that collect together, get their arms, legs intertwined.
Okay, he's talking about giants. All right, let's go back
At
a
a
little.
giant electric eel, or a power cord, or a god with a glittering lightning sword, and you hit the water. Would all of those fish live? No, they would all die. They would come to the top. Now, Nephilim, giants, those have legs. So they would be, and things in a tank, when they're draining slowly like that, they tend to spin and stick together. They do. This is a working theory. Worldwide heap of water. So now you know what would happen. The drain would slowly go back into the fountain of the deep. Now think about the earth during the time of Noah's flood. water draining off all of those Nephilim and giant,
Okay, I get
all
what he's
different
saying.
sizes, from the super, super tall all the way down to the smaller than hobbits, probably. Together, spinning, as the same thing that opened up now is receding it slowly for 150 days because it's getting that washing action. And that's the giants that collect together, get their arms, legs intertwined. Those are now your mountain ranges.
Okay.
I proposed that after some of the drainage, when it was almost out, a spiritual horse and the rider entered that heap of water, let the water flow to the sea. You know, it might have been clogged up in a few places. This is where we get the canyons and the gorges carved out with the glittering sword and the glittering spear. This could be considered going the second mile with me and see if I can come up with some evidence that will build proof for scripture.
Okay. That's what I'm here for.
3, verse 15, thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses, the heap of great waters. And great waters is, you know, in the index of the King James Version, how they have those numbers and you look over, there it says great waters, it says could read mud. In Strong's Concordance, it could mean piles of stones. It is probable that the 3rd chapter of Habakkuk describes the cleanup after the flood. Don't fight this. Just see if it fits. You have considered Yetis living still in the hollow earth of the South Pole. Some of you have considered that. So consider this. This is from the Bible. Verse 4, chapter 3. And his brightness was as the light. He had horns out of his hand, and there the hiding of his power. Horns equals bright light from its side, it said in the notes of the KG Bible. Verse 5, chapter 3 of Habakkuk. It mentions burning coals went forth at his feet. Verse 6 mentions, he stood and measured the earth, the everlasting mountains were scattered, the perpetual hills did bow. Verse 8 of chapter 3 of Habakkuk. Was the wrath against the sea that thou didst ride upon thine horses, the chariots of salvation?
There is one problem with this theory that all rocks are body parts, or all rock, because he even says that none of them are from animals. They all were from humans. So here's the problem with that. I have, you know, you've probably seen Stellium 7's videos on the hearts, and even Alan's own videos. And I have a heart that's about the size of a human heart, but a lot of them get even smaller than that. And so the thing is like, are we saying then that those are all from humans? Because a lot of the hearts are way smaller than human size. So I guess the theory must include the fact that there were tiny little humans running around, and then there were these Nephilim Titan giants as well, and they all got wiped out. And all of their hearts were preserved in judgment at the same time.
Verse 10, the mountains saw thee, they trembled. The overflowing of waters passed by.
See, that's why I don't want to be a maximalist on this topic. I don't think it's necessary to be one.
The deep uttered his voice, lifted up his hands on high. Verse 11, the sun and the moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went. At the shining of thy glittering spear. Verse 15, thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses, the heap of great waters. Revelation 20, verse 9. And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them.
Okay. That
That's
doesn't
your
have
New
anything to
Testament
do with
one,
it.
and that is Gog and Magog. Revelation 20, verse 9. I looked up in the Greek portion, very seems, have to look up the Greek, not Hebrew anymore. Number 4442. And that also is translated as fire, but it
That looks
is
very
lightning.
body partish to me. I
It
definitely can see
means
the body part in that one.
lightning. It's another one of those. So what does this open up for us?
Yeah, I saw that he had shared that. I saw that. He was a little harsh on Wise Up, I felt like. And he said I
look at that.
I just want dopamine hits, and that's the reason I want to believe, what Wise Up was saying. That was a little bit insulting, but whatever.
Let's go to verse 9. And they went up into the plain of the earth, and they compassed the tents of the saints about, and the beloved city. But fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. That's that same lightning, that same God. Okay, I don't want to get too far away from what we just went over in Habakkuk. That was, thou didst tread the sea with thine horses, the glittering spear. How did the mountains get like this? We do know that at one time, all of the rivers flowed.
Yeah, no,
to
I
the
appreciated
sea.
it for the most part.
Did you
but
know that today, 2018, December, going on 2019?
I don't know. If you don't agree with every
All the
last
rivers
little
have
thing
not
he says,
flown to
he
the
likes
sea
to
for
go
about
off.
100 years. Well,
I'm a
they
big
say
boy,
it's been
don't worry,
longer,
I
but
can
if you
handle
look
it.
at the entropic basins, that just happened. Now, we need, to somewhat wrap up this second mile, but leave you thinking, why am I telling you all of this? What happened? The mountains, the giants, the glittering swords. It's because if those were Nephilim and they were frozen and now they're rocks, why not believe the Lord when he said those rocks could cry out immediately if he wanted them to, if they needed to? Because they could have cried out. They are reserved in judgment, just like right now.
Yeah, that's cool. I was watching. I watched it later. I wasn't seeing it live. I saw it like after the fact.
Storing up judgment or crowns of righteousness that we don't deserve. That's the mercy. That's the grace. We don't deserve any of the kindness God shows to us. But when we choose to please him, you heard it. He will treat us as brothers, even though we once despised him. He changed our heart. He changed our minds by opening our eyes and our ears and what once seemed foolish to us and nonsense to us. We all laughed.
Like I would have preferred more like pictures in this video of his, just to, I guess, prove whatever point he was trying to make, because it just he scrolls a bunch of other images and then reads from, I guess, Bible verses and other things during this whole video, and I'm sorry, this isn't exactly a slam dunk or anything here.
What are you going to do with it? Well, he took the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and he bound him 1,000 years.
Okay, this doesn't have anything to do with it, so he's explaining something totally different. I don't know. I'm just going to give up on that one, I guess. But anyways, I think I'm going to end it here, guys. But and gals, mostly gals, it looks like. So anyway, thanks for joining me. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about, or if you have a video on YouTube or something you want me to watch or go click on, and or a Bible verse that you want to look up. If anybody has anything, now's your chance. Type it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm probably just going to wrap it up here. So, but I do thank you for being here. I do currently have 5 viewers, it says, so I do appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned something. You get to be the decider, not me, on what you will believe in. So just make that decision for yourself. Just keep looking at the evidence. Pray for discernment with the Holy Spirit of Jesus. He will help you see the truth for sure, because he is the truth, the way, and the life. Oh great, you love the pictures. Well, that's good. I'm just, that makes me happy that at least 1 or 2 or 3 people enjoyed it. So thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for being with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.